Let's just say he has not engaged. So today I'll be talking about strength training. In my previous video that I posted, a client of mine reached out to me and said, I haven't made any video concerning strength training, that she's interested to have more ideas about strength training. But we have made this conversation behind closed doors with some of my clients. But today I'll be exposing us to strength training on this video. You feel me? So I have made out a list of important factors here on the board. I don't know if you can see very clearly, but when you are going into strength training, there are some key factors you have to consider when engaging in strength training. And one of those factors is workout schedule. You have to schedule yourself because you have your work, you have your endeavors that takes your time each and every day, but you are really much interested in getting into exercising. That is why scheduling yourself, it is very, very important. Now, on this board, we have Mr. A. Mr. A is interested to build bigger arms for himself. Let's use Mr. A as an example for the sake of this video. So Mr. A has made out a scheduling plan for himself because of his work and all of that. He made out Monday, he made out Tuesday, he made out Thursday and Saturday as his scheduling plan in order for him to be exercising himself to build a bigger arms. So now Mr. A now said, I have made a scheduling days for myself to engage in exercise. What next do I have to consider? The next factor to consider is workout program. What are the programs that I have to engage in order to build bigger arms? Now Mr. A have identified bicep curls and hammer curls as some of those programs he wants to engage in order to build bigger arms for himself. So this is another factor to consider: workout programs. And the third factor you also have to consider is progressive overload. Very, very important, most especially if you want to build strength. So Mr. A identified progressive overload as one of those factors he has to engage in if he wants to build a bigger arms. Now, Mr. A has made out a scheduling plan. Mr. A has made out a workout program for himself. Mr. A has brought out some weight that he will use to start that first month of him engaging in exercise, which are now the weights are 5.5 pounds, 7.5 pounds, 10.5 pounds, and also 12.5 pounds. And now he will be carrying out these exercises, remember, for 1 month. Stay with me. So in the first week, he started with bicep curls and hammer curls. What weight is Mr. A using? 5.5 pounds. He has to start from a much lighter weight so that his arms can get used to lifting something, because he has not engaged in lifting anything before. Let's just say he has not engaged in using any weight before. That's why he's starting from a much lighter weight, which is 5.5 pounds. So we got to the second week. Mr. A decided to upgrade his weight to 7.5 pounds. But what has not changed is the fact that Mr. A is still working on bicep curls and hammer curls. We are not changing our programs. We are sticking to that program for the rest of the month. But something interesting is hitting up somewhere. So let's pay attention. So on the second week, Mr. A graduated to 7.5 pounds, which is very okay, and he still maintained the reps of 10 reps. In the first week, when he did 5.5 pounds, he did 10 reps, which is very okay. The second week, when he graduated to a much higher weight, he did 10 reps on that very second week and stick to the very same program, which is bicep curls and hammer curls. Now we move to the third week. Mr. A decided to also graduate into a much higher weight, which is 10.5 pounds, and still maintain the 10 reps. Now, something very interesting when Mr. A got to the fourth week. Mr. A got to the fourth week, but he decided not to graduate to a much higher weight. What instead did Mr. A did? Mr. A graduated from the 10 reps to 12 reps. This is where strength training starts. You feel me? Mr. A was supposed to graduate to a much higher weight, but he discovered within himself that he tried lifting 12.5 pounds, but he wasn't getting the right form. He said, no, that means I have failed on something. I am not getting something right. I have not gotten that strength that I need in order to lift this 12.5 pounds. Mr. A went back to the previous weight he was using. But what he did, he was supposed to do the 10 reps he was doing on the previous week, but he decided to increase his reps this time around. What is Mr. A engaging? Progressive overload. Because progressive overload itself is when you increase your reps, that increase in reps, that increase in set, the increase in weight in order for you to build a physical muscle for yourself. That is what progressive overload is all about. So this is what Mr. A did in order for him to build strength. Now, Mr. A got to the 5th week. He has finished the first month of his training, but he still wants to continue because this time around he is getting used to the exercise itself. He got to the 5th week. Mr. A was supposed to still graduate to 12.5 pounds, but he still maintained his 10.5 pounds. What he now did, instead of him doing the 12 reps that he did the 4th week, he had to graduate to a much higher reps, which is 14 reps. What is Mr. A doing? Mr. A is engaging in strength training because this time around his muscles are graduating from the previous tension and the previous stress that was being given to it into a much higher stress, but not the weight this time around. It's the reps that is counting this time around. Now Mr. A got to the 6th week. That is when Mr. A decided to move from a much lower weight, which was 10.5 pounds, to 12.5 pounds. But what Mr. A did here is so very significant. He did not graduate into a much higher weight and still maintain the 14 reps he did on the previous week. Mr. A returned back to the 10 reps that he was doing when he started. He went back to the 10 reps, but this time on a much higher weight. So Mr. A is engaging in strength training.